I don't discuss who I talk about anything with, but ultimately this is my decision, and he serves at the pleasure of the president, and that's why he's no longer there.
So do you believe it's appropriate for any social media personality to influence personnel decisions in your department, yes or no?
I believe your time is up, Senator.
Oh, it is not up to you to tell me when my time is up.
Well, the time
And I am
the
going to
senator.
say, Mr. Secretary, you're either feckless or complicit. You're not in control of your department. This is unserious. It is shocking. You're not combating anti-Semitism within your ranks. It's a dangerous and pivotal time in our nation's history. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. And I don't appreciate the smirk, sir. You are the Secretary of Defense.
Senator Jacky Rosen of Nevada did not come to this hearing to improvise. She is a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee and co-chair of the Senate Bipartisan Task Force for Combating Anti-Semitism. So when she questioned Pete Hegseth, she came with jurisdiction, names, and a timeline. Kingsley Wilson, Timothy Haugh, Laura Loomer, a Pentagon spokesperson accused of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, a 4-star general removed from the NSA and U.S. Cyber Command, a pro-Trump activist reportedly tied to the fallout. The questions were narrow. What standard applies inside the Pentagon? Who approved the dismissal? And who influenced the decision? Watch how Rosen builds the record.
Mr. Secretary, we have a short amount of time, so I'm just going to ask a few simple questions, and I would just appreciate if, for some of them, you would just answer yes or no. And so, Secretary Hegseth, would you agree that every senior official in the Department of Defense must reflect the values and conduct that our service members must uphold and our citizens expect?
Senator, we want to uphold the highest possible standards.
I'll take that for a yes. So would you also agree, then, that anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories have no place in our government or military? Yes or no?
They should not.
Thank you. So would you also agree that anyone who has posted, and I'm going to quote, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories lifted right out of a neo-Nazi playbook, end quote, shouldn't be anywhere near a position of power? Yes or no?
Since I don't believe the characterization of many officials in the news media, I would need to see precisely what's being characterized.
But generally, would you not say that if
Generally
we
speaking,
thought something
sure.
was coming out of a neo-Nazi playbook, it doesn't have any place in our Department of Defense? Now, Secretary Hegseth, the quote that I just read you was referencing Ms. Kingsley Wilson, the DOD press secretary. It's a direct quote from her, who my Republican colleagues on this committee have also expressed alarm over due to her comments. In fact, one colleague said, and I'm going to quote again, obviously I don't agree with her comments. I trust the Pentagon will address this, end quote. However, in the months since, not only have you not addressed these anti-Semitic comments, you have promoted Ms. Wilson. This seems to be at odds, honestly, with President Trump's commitment, very public commitment to combat anti-Semitism, which you just said you two agreed with. So, Secretary Hegseth, given the rise in anti-Semitic violence, hate crimes in our nation, and to show that the Trump administration, your administration, does have a zero-tolerance policy for anti-Semitism, will you dismiss Ms. Kingsley from her role as a U.S. military spokesperson today, yes or no?
Again, that's why I referenced the context and characterization.
Well, we'll send you the quote,
I've worked
sir.
directly with her. She does a fantastic job, and there's any suggestion that I or her or others are party to anti-Semitism is a mischaracterization attempting to win political points.
Sir, and I'm going to say
Senator,
that
you're
your
attempting
lack
to
of
win
an
political
answer
points on the backs of
confirms what we've
mischaracterizing
known
the
all
statements of a
along.
member
The Trump
of my
administration
department,
is not serious.
and I'm not going to stand for that.
You are not a serious person. You are not serious about rooting out, fighting anti-Semitism within the ranks of our DOD. It's despicable. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to move on to General Haugh. The sudden and inexplicable dismissal of General Haugh. He serves both director of the National Security Agency, commander of U.S. Cybercom. It's deeply concerning, raises significant questions about the decision-making process, its potential consequences. Public reports indicate that the removal of General Haugh, who has served his country proudly, has been influenced by social media influencer, a personality on social media, Laura Loomer, spreads conspiracy theories. She's been denounced even by Republicans. And the idea is that any leaders within our agencies responsible for our nation's security, somebody would be dismissed based on the advice of a social media influencer. is alarming to say the least. It's surely not how we should be running our military. So were you consulted regarding General Haugh's dismissal, yes or no?
Well, Senator, I would not advise believing everything you read in the media.
Were you,
and I'm consulted on every single decision.
Okay,
I'm the
so that's
decision maker
alarming.
for the department, and we all
department,
serve at the pleasure of the president, and
So
we have
what
the
was your-
prerogative to
what
make
was
those
your
decisions
what
for
was
the
your
best for the
recommendation?
country,
Did you
and we did
personally
that.
approve Mr. Haugh's dismissal, yes or no?
Anyone coming or going
Personally
at the
approve
Defense
it.
Department, especially at that level, would ultimately be a decision
So
made by
that's a
me,
yes.
and I
Did you
stand
personally
behind that.
relieve him?
Excuse
Did
me?
you personally relieve him? Yes or
Anyone
no?
at that level
You did,
who is
so that's a
relieved
yes.
would be relieved by the Secretary of Defense.
Was there a specific justification for General Haugh's dismissal? Was there a specific justification for General Haugh's dismissal?
Ma'am, we all serve at the pleasure of the president, and the president deserves the type
it
of
true?
commanders and advisors that he thinks will best
Did you
equip him
discuss General
to
Haugh's
accomplish the
dismissal with
mission.
Laura Loomer prior to his removal?
I don't discuss who I talk about anything with, but ultimately this is my decision, and he serves at the pleasure of the president, and that's why he's no longer there.
So do you believe it's appropriate for any social media personality to influence personnel decisions in your department, yes or no?
I believe your time is up, Senator.
Oh, it is not up to you to tell me when my time is up.
Well, the time
And I
of
am
the
going to
senator-
say, Mr. Secretary, you're either feckless or complicit. You're not in control of your department. This is unserious. It is shocking. You're not combating anti-Semitism within your ranks. It's a dangerous and pivotal time in our nation's history. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. And I don't appreciate the smirk, sir. You are the Secretary of Defense.
Secretary Hegseth begins by accepting the standard. He says the Department of Defense should uphold the highest possible standards. He agrees that anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories should not belong in government or the military. Then Senator Rosen takes that standard and applies it to the record. Rosen did not bring a theory. She brought names: Kingsley Wilson, Timothy Haugh, Laura Loomer. She brought a timeline, a Pentagon spokesperson whose public comments had drawn alarm, a 4-star general removed from the National Security Agency and U.S. Cyber Command, a pro-Trump activist who, according to public reports, was tied to pressure around that removal. And Rosen brought exact questions. Will the secretary dismiss Wilson from her role? Was Hegseth consulted on General Haugh's removal? Did he approve it? Was there a specific justification? Did he discuss Haugh with Laura Loomer before removal? That is how a record is built, not with volume, with sequence. Under sworn testimony, Hegseth gives one clear answer at the beginning: anti-Semitism should not have a place there, but after that, he does not produce the missing file. He does not cite a review. He does not identify a disciplinary standard. He does not offer a written finding explaining why Wilson's conduct did not violate the values he endorsed. On Haugh, the gap is larger. Hegseth says decisions at that level ultimately go through him. He says people serve at the pleasure of the president. That may explain authority. It does not explain process. It does not answer whether there was a national security reason. It does not answer whether the removal followed a chain of command. And it does not answer Rosen's most direct question, whether Laura Loomer was discussed before a 4-star cyber commander was removed. The response protects discretion. It does not resolve the conflict. And that is the pattern Rosen is placing into the permanent record: a public standard, followed by private discretion, a stated commitment to accountability, followed by no document, no finding, no timeline, and no clear denial. For most Americans, this is not an inside baseball argument about a Senate hearing. Cyber Command deals with threats that can reach hospitals, banks, power grids, military networks, and election systems. If the leadership of those institutions can be shaken by political loyalty, outside pressure, or unanswered influence, then the public has a right to know who is actually in control. That is the thesis of this exchange. In a democracy, power can be exercised, but it must be explained, especially when the office is the Department of Defense, because when the record asks who made the decision, silence is not neutrality. It is evidence.